I got like GoFundMe.
Can you pull the screen up? All right, so we added the question. I think we'll add 1 and 2 from the warm up to the. Yep, and she may have her. I don't know. You have to verify her work. So this is the last section before we take the test. This is the last section. So tomorrow is a work day for 8-5, and then the day after that is the work day for the review, and then the test is on Thursday. Elevation, angle of a.
Could I ask how much everything is, like how much is taken off for everything turned in after the test?
You do not want to turn it in after the test. Okay. I don't know. Maybe we would take 20% off a day or something. Okay. There's no point in studying for the test after we took the test. All right. So elevation. Elevation means up. So angle of elevation means you're looking up at something. Depression means you're looking down. This gets really confusing because you kind of ignore the degree in some cases, and in other cases you need to use it. But you need to know that elevation is up, they're like an airplane. Depression means like you're up in a building or something and you're looking down. Okay? So we'll jump right into a problem. John is sitting 12 feet up in a tree. Looking down at a depression of 35 degrees, he can see a small puddle. If he throws a rock and hits the puddle, how far will the rock travel? So we want to always draw a picture for these. Okay? So John sitting up in a tree, almost every single circumstance, there's something that's straight up and down. Okay? In this example, the tree is straight up and down.
Is the ground perpendicular to the tree?
Yes.
So then that means that
So this is 12, he's 12 feet up in the tree. Okay? And there is a puddle sitting out here. Okay? And he's looking down. Now, here's the thing about looking down. If I am going to look down, I'm looking like this, okay? And then I'm going to look down. My angle that I look down is 35 degrees.
On the outside.
Okay, so look here. This is 35 degrees. Okay, so the thing is, what I'm getting at, if I say 35 degrees, I don't say, hey, everyone look down 35 degrees. You don't go like this and then look 35 degrees. Okay, you are looking here and then you look down 35 degrees. My point is that this angle right here is not 35 degrees. It is 55 degrees.
How is it 55?
90 minus 35.
Because the angle that we were looking at straight here is 0, and then we looked down 35 degrees.
That makes sense.
Now, the other thing that's going to throw us off on these problems is answering the right question. There are two sides that are unknown. We don't know this side, and I don't know this side. So the trick is, which side are they asking for? In this question, we're looking for the hypotenuse. It says, how far would the rock travel? If I threw a rock from here to here, it's the hypotenuse. So I'm looking for this right here. I don't know. I'm going to pick t as my variable for travel. Okay. You can use any letter you want there.
So like, would you do like sine to get the bottom, and then do the a squared plus b squared?
You could use sine to get the bottom and then do Pythagorean theorem. I would pick cosine of 55 equals, hey guys, I don't know why we're like chatting. Okay, so cosine is A over H. Okay, so adjacent, which is 12 over hypotenuse. Could you use law? I think that you're going to use this. For right triangles, you're going to use this because it's going to be a lot easier, I think. But could you? Yeah.
Why aren't you doing the whole like a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2ac?
Okay, here's the $1 million answer to that. What type of triangle do I have?
Right.
When you have right triangles, you're going to want to use SOHCAHTOA. They're so much more straightforward than the law of sines. Law of cosines is for when you don't have right triangles.
Oh, okay. So then we have to multiply.
So one day last week, someone came up to me and said, I'm just going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And I said, you can only use that on what type of triangles? Right triangles. It wasn't a right triangle. That's why we have the law of sines. That's why we have the law of cosines. Okay?
Why do you
90
do it now just to go back to SOHCAHTOA?
Because this is right angle.
This is a right angle.
I know,
Oh, it's
but
not
we're
right.
all
It's
yeah.
not a right angle.
Never mind. I'm stupid.
Okay. So we're going to times by t to get it over here. And then I'm going to divide by cosine of 55. And you get 20 point what? So let's just round one place. And we need to be careful to make sure that we include units. Feet. So if I threw this rock, it would go 20.9 feet.
It means how far is it?
So we just found out this distance right here.
That doesn't account for
Okay,
it.
yeah, that's right,
What if you,
yeah.
what if you
I
do
know
a
that.
top?
Yeah,
Like, what if you
what
like
if you
threw it
rolled
up
it?
and it like made an arc? and
So-
it diagonal?
I mean, honestly, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
That's a terrible problem. These are realistic.
whoever wrote this should be taken outside and beaten.
Did you write it?
I did write this.
All right, guys.
Let's go.
Sit down.
Mr. McConnell's eyes just.
Grab the stapler.
What?
Grab the stapler.
Actually.
An airplane.
Right there, Ben.
An airplane takes off at 30 degrees elevation and travels for 3 miles. How high is it off the ground? So it's taking off. Now this is where people get really confused. If I'm looking like this, okay, and I go 30 degrees is that angle. I'm not going like this and then going 30 degrees. It is here and it's 30 degrees.
So that's why it's gonna be 5 miles.
So my point is this angle right here is going to be what?
38.
And that one.
That is going to be 30 degrees.
Is it going to have a right angle?
It's going to, how high off the ground are you? Is always straight up.
So it's a right angle.
So this is a right angle. I want to know how high. Okay. He traveled for 3 miles. That 3 miles is which part?
The hypotenuse.
That's the hypotenuse.
Okay.
We want to look, we want to find what? Side A or side B? We want to find this one right here.
1.5.
You're gonna use sine.
No,
It's
it's
1.5.
a 30-60 triangle.
Perfect triangle.
There, 1 point,
I don't like 30-60.
1.5.
X equals 1.5.
I don't like when you're on the side.
30, 60, 90 triangles there.
What's
Thinking
the,
about-
what's the
Yeah.
1.5?
Now, let me tell you something. For 30, 60, 90 or 45, 45, 90, it is fair game for me to say this is a question you don't get to use with the calculator. There is a non-calculator part to this test we're taking on Thursday. This could be one of the questions. Okay? So if you forgot that rule and you set this up to say sine of 30 equals x over 3, I expect you to be able to tell me what the sine of 30 is.
It's
1/2 square root of 2.
That was 0.5.
I can't do that.
Okay, now this is how you would tell me the sine of 30. I would come down here off to the side
You would draw.
and I would draw a 60, a 30, 60, 90. I would call the side here 1,
and then
I would
2.
call this
This
2,
one's 2.
and this is square root of 3. So sine of 30 is opposite over hypotenuse,
What is that?
1/2.
Did I get that right? Yeah.
Then I would times by
3.
3, and it would be 3/2 equals x, or 1.5. Or we also know that if this is x and this is 3, then this is half of that. Okay? What's your confusion? So this is a fair question, non-calculator on the test.
Memorize the sine of 30, sine of 60.
Dude, you draw the
No, you draw this triangle, and then, okay, so that's a great question.
You go 1, 2, 3. Right?
This is what I expect you to do. Draw this triangle,
Yeah.
okay? And then from there, you should be able to tell me the sine of 30 is opposite.
What if you stick the 30 in the wrong spot?
Don't.
Where's the right spot?
Okay, so you're asking me, how do I draw 30, 60, 90? So 30, 60, 90.
The 60 always on the top?
Okay. That's how I draw it. Across from the 30,
I drew it upside down on like Pearson. Like I put the 30 up there and the 60 there, and it was asking me like what the sine of 30 is, and it told me I was wrong.
okay, so let's say I drew it like this, 30, 60, 90. Across from the 30 is 1. Across from the 90 is,
But that's not the one.
doesn't matter. You just have to put them.
It doesn't have to be drawn to scale.
Yes, it does, or else
No, it
makes
doesn't.
sense, but okay.
It's geometry. It doesn't matter.
You can't draw a perfect circle, but
So look at this problem. This problem says solve without a calculator.
oh no. Great.
Oh,
Join the world.
Great.
Join the world,
Max
boy.
and Cutie missed that.
What?
Max and Cutie.
Aw, man.
Whoa.
So can I use SOHCAHTOA on this?
No.
No, because we don't have a known right angle. This might be 90 degrees, might not. I don't know. Okay, so we can't use SOHCAHTOA. So I have to use, I could use law of sine. I could maybe use law of cosine. But I want to point out that we can't have two unknowns in our formula.
So then
If you don't know, okay, and I was thinking about this, that we struggle with doing work. Okay, let me tell you what that means. If you don't know what formula to use, you should try both of them. And then ask yourself, which one can I proceed with? If that's work, okay? When I don't know what to do, I just start writing stuff down that I know. So I heard law of cosines. I heard law of sines. Do you know which one to use?
No.
If you don't, you need to do work. Okay, if this is the test, you need to be able to do work, meaning writing stuff down, figuring things out, trying different things. I heard law of cosine. Yes.
What if all of your thinking is wrong? And you're wrong.
Then you just keep thinking. You keep working. You just keep working.
Then time runs out and then you still got it wrong.
I was.
Okay, so stop. Stop. Hold on. If you don't know what to do, you start working. Okay? If what you did doesn't reveal how to do it, then you try something else. If that doesn't reveal, then you try something else. That's better than sitting there going, oh crap, I don't know how to do this problem.
Yeah, but you still don't get any credit. So like,
You have
You are more likely to get it right by doing work than sitting there and saying, oh crap, I can't do this.
Mr. McConnell's a therapist.
I know, tell me about it.
Where every trick, bro,
Every else
every.
is not.
Because you're gonna, when you get to upper level math classes, and in a way, this is like an upper level math class, when you don't know what to do, you have to try stuff. I heard law of cosine, I heard law of sine. I personally know which one to use because I have lots of experience. Okay? I would expect you not to know. When I do some math problems, I have to do work. I have to figure out what's going on and see what happens. I don't know what the result's going to be. So looking at this problem, I heard law of cosines. So if I do law of cosines, I'm looking for this angle. Okay? And law of cosines would say
You need all three sides.
you need all three sides. So if I don't know this side and I don't know this angle, law of cosine says that 6 squared is going to equal, I would call this lowercase c, c squared plus 3 square root of 6 squared minus 2 c times 3 square root of 6 cosine of b. So what's the problem with this one? Two variables. We can only have one.
Okay.
So I still don't know if law of sines is going to work. Sine of b over 6 equals sine of 60 over 3 square root of 6. Do I have just one variable? Then that means I should be able to proceed.
Is there a law of tangents?
No.
Oh, why?
I'm glad I don't know if it's,
No calculator. That means I should be able to tell you what the sine of 60 is. Honestly, when you guys, you guys are killing me today. The first thing I would, or some point on your test, I would expect to see a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Not necessarily to scale, where you're going to say x, 2x, and x squared of 3. You're going to draw a second one, where instead of x, I'm putting in numbers.
why do you need a second one?
I guess you don't. Okay, some people like to have this one here to help them know how to go backwards.
Me find the sign of something, or we ever have to know like the cosine of 60, like
Absolutely.
Wait, so I have a bottom.
From this one right here, I should be able to, you should be able to tell me without a calculator, sine of 30, sine of 60, cosine of 30, cosine of 60, tangent of 30, or tangent of 60. Okay. I mean, there are questions on the test like, what's the sine of 60? Okay. So then from here, you should be able to tell me all those different things. In some ways, it might be good for you to have all these labeled, that that's 1/2, that the sine of 60 is radical 3 over 2, that the sine, oh, not of 60, of 30, that the sine of 30 or 60, I'm sorry? Okay. That you may want to write all of these down.
Wait, you put 2 sine of 30.
That's genius.
Oh, I'm sorry, that is 60.
I'm gonna get these tattoos.
Yeah, they make kind of cool.
See, it might be cheating, it's like,
It's there, you can't
it's a
get rid of it.
personal expression, you know?
On my hands.
I meant to write cosine of 30. Did I do sine of 60 right? Yeah.
No, I'll get a tattoo on my foot, and then I'll just say in the.
What'd I do wrong?
It's radical 3 over 1.
Even though it's your.
For sine of 60?
Shoot, sorry.
Okay. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse.
Orange infos always have orange.
Yeah, I have to write it out every time.
And honestly, at this point in your, I would expect you to.
I know.
Okay. So yeah, maybe at the top of this, you know, we would have SOHCAHTOA.
I haven't.
I don't know, maybe on this test, I'll give you a scrap sheet of paper. And the first thing you do is you write these things out. I don't know. If you want that, that's fine. Yeah.
Let me know that stuff. Can we use the log cosines actually? Because like, since it's 3 radical 6, wouldn't we know the bottom side spelled?
No, because it's not a right triangle.
It's got to be a right triangle for this rule or this rule.
Writing those out,
Because now, so on this right here,
You have to know what the,
I need to know what the sine of 60 is.
hold on, but if we can't use these rules tell us what the sine of 60 is. So we should be able to use the sine of 60 in this problem.
Okay, that's a great question. So the sine of 60 equals square root of 3 over 2.
But that's in a right triangle. This isn't a right
Okay, so the sine of 60 is this proportion, is square root of 3 over 2. So, yes, we can't use this rule or this rule in this triangle, but the sine of 60 is equal to the sine of 60 no matter what. So we're using this triangle to figure out the sine of 30, the sine of 60, cosine of 30, cosine of 60. Because the sine of 30 equals a number.
You need to finish.
Okay, so sine of 60. So I want to be very careful here because I think we were confused. That I'm going to write this like this. This is still 3 radical 6. Okay, the sine of 60 is radical 3 over 2. It's not an denominator. One step at a time. Okay, so this is how I would do this. If I'm going to bring this over and place it with this, I'm going to write it like this. Okay, so you can write it like that.
Can you do 6 radical 6 and 3 radical 3 over 6 radical 6?
No,
Since you can multiply 2 by 3.
What are we doing right now?
Is that correct? Can you do that?
Do what?
You can multiply 2 and 3 to make it 6 radical 6 on the bottom.
Absolutely. So this is the same as, now I'm going to go ahead and then multiply this over, which makes it go where? The 6 on the top.
6 radical 3 over
So
6
sine of B equals this. So then sine of B,
And then you could do that. It's radical 3 over radical 6.
radical 3 over radical 6.
And then don't you have to multiply by radical 6 to get it out?
Which is the same as, oh, I don't like to do that. Sine of B equals, yes, we're going to multiply radical 6 on the bottom. I'm going to get 6. And the top, I'm going to get radical 18.
And then can you split that into 9 and 2?
Yes.
So that
It'd be 3 radical 2.
So it would be sine of B equals
Move it down.
3.
it'd be 3 radical.
How do you do that?
It'd be radical 2 over 2.
So
2 over 2.
are we okay with this step?
Wait, no.
Radical 18 is the same as radical 9, radical 2.
Because we multiplied 3 times 2.
What? Are we gonna use the right half of the space? Is that what we're going down next, I think?
And then
No.
we're multiplying something
We just go down because we have this other side. We
So
can't.
radical 2 over 2, right?
So this is sine of B equals radical 2 over 2.
Can we go any farther?
Yes,
Wait, good, then you didn't want that answer.
yes, because we're looking for what? We're looking for B, which is an angle.
So you still have to use the calculator.
We don't get the calculator.
Miss sine of inverse memorize all of the radicals? to get
No.
an answer?
No, just leave them as radicals.
Now,
Sine of radical.
I will show you. So I'm going to look over here, and if I see, I'm looking for radical 2 over 2. Okay? Do you see radical 2 over 2 in any of these?
No.
Okay, so we keep going until we find it. Tangent of,
45.
45.
okay, we also need to have the 45. We might need the,
Radical 2. There's no radical 2 in 36.
there is no radical 2 here. This is 1 radical 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so sine, it's sine, right?
Sine 30.
Sine of 45 equals,
Radical 2 over 1.
No, 1 over radical 2.
1 over radical 2, which we would rewrite as what?
So I would have to do
Radical 2, oh,
so you would have to.
Oh, so it's sine.
sine of 45. If I times this by it'd be radical 2 over 2.
So sine of B equals sine of 45.
So that's what we were looking for.
So it will be,
Which equals sine
when
of
they have
45.
to do the inverse cosine, so the B equals 45.
B equals 45 degrees.
We have a 33.3% chance of getting this right. If not, put down a 30, 60, or 45.
Very good point. Okay. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we're-
there's only so many answers. If I say no calculator and I'm looking for an angle, you're right. It's a 30, it's a 60, or a 45.
What about 90?
It could be 90.
So this
Okay.
stuff is review, because this is nothing with elevation.
It does not. It is kind of review. This problem actually came from 8.3. Okay, but I thought we needed it. So this question is from this section. Okay. Find the area of the triangle.
Use cosine.
We figure out what angle R is to see if it's the right triangle or not.
Okay.
But how do we-
What is our formula for area of a triangle?
Base times height.
1/2 times base height.
We have another one too, right?
It's the A squared plus B squared plus C squared minus something else minus something else.
Do you remember this formula? If we can find this angle,
There's like 0.5. and-
yep.
And then something else.
So area equals,
Oh, point
Oh.
5 AC or something.
Mhm.
It's 0.5 AC.
can I use B?
And
B minus A.
minus 2 minus.
No, it's not 2.
That's
That's the law of cosine.
Isn't it divided? by
Is it
10?
cosine or sine? I can't remember.
Cosine is the minus 2.
It's sine. It's
No.
sine. It's sine.
It's sine because we learned it in the law of sine chapter.
But this
Because
is
cosine had
cosine.
nothing to do with area.
So it's sine of R. It's multiplication, right?
Wow, that is confusing. If I know it's right.
So look at your notes from 8.3.
It's not right.
Symbol.
Here's like that spring.
And help me, make sure I wrote that right. 1/2 AB sine of R. AB, it would be these sides.
Yeah.
Did I write it right?
Yeah, Harry.
I did. Okay, so in order to use this formula, I need to know what? R. How do I find angle R?
Oh, so we can't just multiply 1 by 8 by 4?
So cosine says
Also,
Everybody talk.
10 squared.
So we can't multiply 10 by 8 by 4?
Okay.
No. We need to know this angle. I mean, we need to know the height. So if this is 90 degrees, then it's just 8 times 4 divided by 2. But it's not. 10 squared equals 8 squared plus 4 squared minus 2 times 4 times 8
Why do you use that one?
cosine,
20 equals negative 64 times the cosine.
Why didn't you use the other one?
the sine.
Where the R is on the other side.
Oh, I don't know. This is the one I know better.
I tried to do that, but that's so much harder
Yes.
than doing this because I couldn't remember the angle one. And so then on Pearson, I finally figured out they could just do this.
I did the angle one, like the one you just didn't do,
Right.
and I got like you know the group quiz for the cosine one. I got like 3,000 something. I checked
You have
the
to
right numbers.
square root it. At the end, you have to square root
It
your
doesn't
answer.
say square.
Yes, it does, because it's equal to it's like a squared, and you get an answer and then.
No, not for finding the angle.
No, the angle, then
For
you
finding the
have to-
side.
Yeah, for finding.
No, not the angle.
Okay, so the angle one,
3,000.
the angle one would be this. And I want to show you where your mistake probably is.
Yeah, and I literally typed it in the calculator.
So I want everybody to type this in to see if they can figure out what this is. Because I will show you that a lot of us are,
Negative 64.
please just type it in and see if you can figure it out. And then I'm going to show you where the mistake is going to happen.
I know the answer.
Eric, you got me one. Thank you.
It's negative 320.
Is that the angle?
Are you sure about that?
Yes, I literally.
What is the answer? 64.
I think.
I got a decimal. On the.
Wait, we can enter it as your question like that too.
On the card. On the interior.
Yep, and then you put that into cosine of -1. Trust me. What am I talking about? All of the 80 problems I did yesterday.
Yep, that's exactly what I did.
All right, so look up at the screen. Can you see my calculator? This is wrong. Why? Somebody tell me why what I just did was wrong. I didn't use parentheses. The way that the way that the calculator is going to do this is they're going to take that answer 20, they're going to divide it by -2, which would give me -10, and then they're going to times it by 4. Order operations would say then times by 4 times by 8. The right way of doing this is I need to put this in parentheses. Second, I need to put these parentheses in there.
Didn't you use second for president?
No, to add stuff in. So in order to divide by all those things, or I would have to do 20 divided by -2, divided by 4, divided by 8. Okay? If you don't put those parentheses in there, you're going to get the wrong answer. You should have gotten -3 or 0.3125. Second cosine of that answer.
Oh, it's 108.
So my angle here is 108. Technically, I should use how many digits?
4.
All of them. Technically, I should use all of them. If there is a way that I can bring that down, if I know that this is my formula for area, I would love for you to type it in like this. 0.5 times 8 times 4 sine of answer.
You have to put in the answer instead of saying like 108.2, because then your answer's off. Can you have one day?
This answer is giving me all those digits.
Yeah.
If you don't type an answer, I would like 108.2099569. I don't know. I would write all of them.
Yeah. Can you have one day where you just did a whole bunch of these calculators to teach us how to actually use them?
Yes, thank you.
That'd be a good.
So the area of this is, yeah, so
Friday.
15 point, if I round one, now I can round because I'm done.
That's why I got like -4,000.
On this page, I want you to cross out number 3 and 5. I do not think you should know how to do number 4, but I'm going to ask that you try to look it up online. This is an interesting question. If you have the cosine of an angle, and let me ask you, this is 90 degrees minus x, okay?
Where? I bet Mr.
Yeah, I ripped mine off and gave it to him, and then now it's gone.
Okay, so this one right here, I want you to look it up on the internet and see if you can figure it out.
Why haven't we learned theta? Like, cause they put like
Beta?
2 theta everywhere, and like 2 theta is equal to
Not gonna
like
drink.
sine of theta times cosine of
Yeah.
theta.
All right, so they, 2 theta, okay? When we have an unknown, what letter do we use? We usually use X or Y or Z. Theta is often used in mathematics as the variable for an angle. That's all that means. So 2 theta just means this would be the same as 2x.
Theta is equal to sine of theta plus cosine of
Yeah, right.
theta.
You're, yes.
We have to know that to do,
Which question?
uh,
Show me tomorrow, okay?